Hi, honeys, it's Michelle. I'm here today to talk to you about the books that I read in December. I was surprised. I read more in December than I normally do. I don't know. I guess I just feel like I'm getting back into the swing of things. It took me a while. And just to let you know before I get started, today's Sunday. On Tuesday, I will be doing a Best Books of the Year video where I talk about what my favorite books were. Next Sunday, I will be doing a 2020 tag where I kind of get a little bit deeper into different aspects of 2020 with reading for me and what I'm looking forward to in 2021. Then the following Sunday, I have a big book haul to do. I got a chance to use some of my Christmas money and buy a bunch of books, and I can't wait to show you what I got. The first book that I read was "'Tis the Season to be Murdered" by Valerie Wolzien. This book was really good. I gave it 4 stars. It has a copyright of 1994. And I can't remember, did I get this? I either got it at the Goodwill or I got it at a used bookstore on a clearance rack. I didn't even spend $1 on it. And I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun. It's a cozy mystery from the 90s. Why not give it a chance? I'm really glad I did, and I'm going to put her on my favorite authors list so that when I go to used bookstores, she's one of the people whose books I'm looking for, especially this series, which was pretty much, I think, all in the 90s, if I remember correctly, maybe a little bit into the early 2000s. This was such a fun book to read because it took place in the 90s. It felt like going back into the 90s for me. There weren't a lot of 90s references, but just the fact that cell phones existed, but nobody really used them very much. Yes, computers existed, but no one really used them very much. People didn't have laptops. It was just different. It was slower technologically. So it was just a more soothing time, I think. We didn't realize it at the time, but it was. I really liked the main character, Susan. I liked her friend, Catherine. Now, Catherine is an ex-cop, and that is why they're able to do sleuthing, which for me just felt a lot more realistic than so many of the cozy mysteries. So many of them, it's like somebody owns a donut shop and just happens to poke their way into investigations, which just doesn't seem very realistic. I mean, it's fun to read, but is it realistic? No. This felt more realistic. An ex-cop slash investigator and her friend kind of trying to do a little extra work on the side for the cops. It just felt a little bit more natural to me. I really liked their families, and there's a catering business in this book that's kind of the center of the mystery. Basically, what happens in this book is Susan, the main character, hires a catering company to put together her New Year's party. And one of the people that owns the catering company gets murdered, and all kinds of craziness happens. And it was just fun reading about all that. I love reading about books that have to do with food and preparing food and all that. And she's got kids that are teenagers, so that was kind of fun. I just really like her easy writing style. It's very relaxed. Sorry, I'm just glancing at my notes here. And I really enjoyed the story. I just kind of snuggled into it. I didn't really take a whole lot of time to try to guess who the killer was. So I can't say I was surprised or I wasn't surprised because I just didn't even want to try to guess. I just wanted to enjoy the book, which never happens for me, but it happened here. The next book that I read was The Wife Upstairs, which was my book of the month selection, and it's by Rachel Hawkins. I thought this was really good. This is another 4-star book for me. I just found it very amusing. It was, I guess all these books were a little bit more upbeat for me if I was able to read 6 books. I've been doing 3 or 4 all year. It's just been a rough year for me reading wise, but I am been on a roll the last couple months, and I think it's just going to get more intense as 2021 starts. apparently it's very loosely based off of Jane Eyre. So now I'm going to read Jane Eyre in January. This book was about a lady named Jane, right? Who meets this guy named Eddie, and he's got all this money. And I'm not going to say that maybe she was particularly in love with him, but she decided to kind of get swept off her feet by him, probably to escape being poor. And his wife, Bee, and her friend Blanche are missing and have been for months. It's very amusing. There's a lot of twists and turns that I didn't see coming. The characters are really unlikable for me, but I think it was supposed to be that way, so I didn't mind so much. If you like Jane Eyre, I definitely recommend reading this. Or if you're looking to get inspired to read Jane Eyre, I recommend reading this. It's really good. And yeah, I think you'll like it. The next book I read was a book that is not the first in a cozy mystery series. Of course, neither was the other one, but I got this at the Dollar Tree, and it was Shakespeare's Christmas by Charlaine Harris. Now, she's the one that wrote the True Blood series, and I love this book. 5 stars. I love it. There is a character named Lily in this book, and she's a sleuth also, but she's a human sleuth. She's got flaws. She's not naive. This is not a rated G book by any means. I would say it was more rated R, and I'm here for it. That's one thing that sometimes gets a little tiresome with some of the cozy mysteries is the main characters tend to be very G-rated and very naive and childlike and innocent and not human. This lady is very human, and the story itself was really fun too. What happens in this book is Lily goes home to be with her family because her sister is getting married, and to make a long story short, because I don't want to spoil anything, she finds out that there was a kidnapping that happened, and the groom might be at the center of it. And that's what the book's about. It's really good. I read it in a couple days. I had a hard time putting it down. I really love the main character. This is another series where I will be putting this in my list of authors to look for. I hope to find the other books in this series and read them because I really love the main character. Dying in a Winter Wonderland by Vicki Delany. She writes this series here. It's a year-round Christmas mystery series where the main character is a lady named Mary, and she lives in a town called, I think it's called Rudolph, and the town is a Christmas themed town, and it's like a tourist area. And so she owns a gift shop, and she's got her family there, and she's got some friends, and it's just super cozy and fun. And she's not as perfect as some of the characters in some of the cozy mystery series are. I really find her to be quite likable. I like the way that Vicki Delany writes, and these books aren't dry at all. They're also very quick for me to read, and they're just fun. They're also a really good palate cleanser if you just read something heavy and thick and deep and you're needing to kind of come down from it before your next book. I really recommend this series. It's just nice, and if you're not excited about the thought of a year-round Christmas series, then just read it every year in December. But I personally like reading it all year long. Also, this is the newest book. It just came out this year. And then the last book I read is this book. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to get that sticker off yet. It's going to take some Goo Gone to get that thing off of there. It's The Marriage Pact by Michelle Richmond. I also found this one at the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree, you're not steering me wrong this year. I'm loving the new book section. Okay, I gave this one 5 stars also. I couldn't put it down. I read it in a day and a half, and it's a 400-page book, which is pretty good, right? So this book is about a couple named Alice and Jake. They're newlyweds and they become members of this marriage pact, which ends up being a cult. And it's just a very fascinating take on cults, how people get enticed by them, how dangerous and mentally abusive they can be, and how hard it is to get out of them. It's a beautiful look at marriage and what it really means to love someone. That all that is really needed for happiness when you're married to the right person is them. Everything else starts to lose its value, I think, when you're in love with someone. Such a thought-compelling book about human nature, about marriage, about what it takes to make things work. My husband and I ended up having a really neat discussion the morning after I finished reading it at night in bed, as always. And so the next morning I asked him, if you could be married to the perfect woman, like if I could be perfect, if I could be within 5 pounds of what I weighed when you married me, and I treated you perfectly, I kept the house clean, I bought you a gift every month, I thought about you and what you want and need and really nothing else, would that be something that you would want? And he's like, is this a trap? I said, no, it's not a trap. I just genuinely, it's an interesting conversation. So he thought about it and he came back to me later, and we just had a really great conversation about it. And I think we both agreed that no, we would not want the perfect spouse. That, when you're younger and you date and relationships don't work out, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that person. It means that they weren't the right person for you, and you learn different things about what you do and don't want in a mate while dating. And eventually, if you're lucky, the person that you pick will be the person that is perfect for you already, as they are. And personally, I feel like the flaws are part of what is so beautiful. I wouldn't want a husband that thought about me and nothing else and brought me a gift home every month. Now, some people might, but for me personally, that wouldn't be my dream. So the fact that that's part of this pact wouldn't work out for me. But I also think the part of being a really good spouse or a mate, depending on, whether you're married or not, is being able to work on yourself too. And so if you're always thinking about the other person, you're not going to fulfill all the things you're supposed to in your life, kind of thing. And you probably wouldn't end up growing as a couple or be the best mate that you could be. I don't know if that makes sense, but so it was just a really fascinating discussion that we had about whether or not we would want the perfect person. And the other thing we both said is, if we were 20, yes, we would want the perfect person. But now that we're in our 40s, no, you would never want that. Plus, you would have to be the perfect spouse as well. And who has that kind of time or energy, right? And this book is a psychological thriller. It scared me. It shocked me. It made me laugh. It made me appreciate my marriage even more. It didn't make me cry, but it made me emotional. And I highly recommend it. It's really good. Okay, well, that is it for my December of 2019 books. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And let me know if you're interested in reading any of these books. I will, like I said, I'll be back in 2 days. I'll be back on Tuesday talking about my 10 favorite books of 2020. Did I say December of 2019? I think I did. Why did I do that? We'll never know. But I did do that, I think. Oh, well. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy 2021. I'm so excited that we are moving into a new year. Hopefully, it's a much better year. And even if it's not, we're prepared now, right? Okay. I love you. Bye.